I don't understand this. Miss Tay, you just keep throwing work on my table and it's just too frustrating.
What's the problem? I
need the best. I don't need you, Miss Tay. I need Miss K. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go find Miss K.
Right into this world, all alone. God takes your soul, you're on your own. The crow flies.
It's been 4 hours now. Still searching for the one and only Mrs. K. Just so tired of those paper pushers. I need the best. Hopefully, this is it. Hopefully, we have found Mrs. Garcia. Let's check the door real quick. Oh God, it's locked. Where can she be? You are watching on YouTube, Miss K Teaches Math.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hart, for that intro. So without further ado, guys, let's start this lesson. All right, guys, we are going to take some notes today on our next section, which is 12.3, and we're going to be taking a look at dividing polynomials. Up until this point, we've done a lot of multiplying of terms. Now we're going to be doing the opposite. One thing that you guys know that is familiar already is factoring, and factoring is actually like dividing a polynomial. So I'll show you guys that in a bit. However, let's go ahead and start with something we already know. So we're actually going to take this back to, I don't know, 5th grade maybe, when you first learned dividing. So let's look at an example first. Let's say that I gave you guys this problem, 346 divided by 4. Now, without using our calculator like so many of us do now, let's go ahead and use that skill of long division. So what that looked like, for those of you who don't remember this foreign concept, was that this first number, 346, is the term that's being divided. What we were seeing was how many times this value of 4 goes into 346. So we would set up that little division house right here. So again, remember, first term goes inside that house. Then what we would do next is we would figure out, okay, 4 goes into 3, doesn't go in evenly. So then we would look at the next number. 4 goes into this term here, 34. Hopefully you would say 8 times. And so then we would put an 8 here. All right, my question to you guys is then what is our next step? And I think like many of us know, we know that we would put a 32 here. And remember how we got that 32 is because it's 4 times 8, which is 32. What we did next, and I'm going to point out to you guys, is that we subtracted this. All right, 34 minus 32 would give us 2. And then we would bring down that next number of 6. So 6. And then again, we ask ourselves that same question. 4 now goes into 26 how many times? Hopefully you would say 6, right? Which is 24. So again, 4 times 6 is 24. Again, same idea. We know that we're going to be subtracting those. 26 minus 24 is 2. And then in this case, what we want to make sure to do is notice that there's no other numbers to bring down. That's when we put in our 0 and our decimal, and we're going to bring in down the 0. 4 goes into 25 times. And then again, 4 times that 5 that we had here would give us 20. We are subtracting, and then we are left with nothing. So again, here our final product, maybe I shouldn't use that word since it is a dividing problem, but then our final answer here is going to be 86.5. So why I wanted to go over this problem though is because as we divide today, we're going to be using the same skill set of long division. All right, so for all of our examples today, I'm going to go ahead and set up that long division. But again, if you have your own method, please feel free to use that too. The first thing we're going to take a look at though is dividing a polynomial by a monomial, so meaning just one term here. What something like that will look like, and I'll go ahead and start you guys with an example, is let's say we had something like this. 4x to the third plus 8x squared plus 10x, and I'll put that in parentheses. And we're going to divide that polynomial by our term of 2x. And so here is our monomial. So again, just that one term here. All right, so this first term here, this is what goes underneath that division house. So we would set this up like this. So again, 4x to the third plus 8x squared plus 10x. And then we are dividing all of this by the 2x. All right, and the idea is going to be the same here. So what is different, unlike our other division problem, is that this time you have a variable, and you're going to work with it the same way. So you're going to take a look at this first term here, and you're going to say, okay, 2 times what gives me 4? And hopefully you would say 2, and you would be correct. But then you also need to do it with the x's, though. And so you would say, okay, x times what is going to give me this x to the third? And it would be x to the second. So we would also put x to the second here. All right, just like we did in this example here, when we said that, okay, 4 goes into 34 8 times, how we got this number here was because it was 4 times 8, which was 32. So you're going to do the same thing here. You're going to do 2x times 2x squared. So 2 times 2 is 4. And then x times x squared, add them. That's going to give us x to the third. All right, what I want to point out to you guys, though, is take a look then at our next step that we did. After we found that value, we subtracted. And so you're going to be doing that same thing here. We're going to make sure that we are subtracting. And I'm going to tell you guys that that's going to be important to watch out for. Is just remember that you are subtracting that term. All right, what you'll notice is that's going to cancel out. All right, just like before, we're going to go ahead and bring down the second term. So now I have 8x squared. And you're going to do that same concept again. You're going to look at the number. 2 times what gives us 8? So 2 times 4. So it's a positive 4. So I'm going to go ahead and put in that plus sign. And then do the same thing with your x's, though. X times what gives us x squared? And then x. So we put in x. All right. To get the number down here, remember we're multiplying. So it'd be 2 times 4 that we just said, which is 8. And then now x times x is going to be x squared. Okay, again, remember that we are subtracting this term here. This is going to cancel, and then we're going to bring down our final term, which in this case is this positive 10x. And again, same idea. 2 times what gives us 10? So 5 in this case, so plus 5. And then x times what would give you x. In this case, it would just be that invisible 1, so we would leave it as 5. Now, some of you guys are going to be able to divide by a monomial in your head pretty quickly, and if you can, perfect. But again, this is the setup that you would use if you were using the long division here. All right, for this example, you guys are going to be dividing 6x to the third plus 3x squared minus 12 by a negative 3x. So here, just watch that sign and then see how that changes your final answer. All right, guys, how did you do? Final answer here would have been negative 2x squared minus 1x or minus x plus 4. So again, watch that sign here. As you guys are figuring out what terms to put here, you're asking yourself, okay, negative 3 times what number would give me this positive 6? And so negative 3 times negative 2 gives me positive 6. Watch down here with that double negative, but again, that idea is the same, so hopefully that makes sense. All right, we are going to take this one step further now though, and instead of just dividing by a monomial, we're going to go ahead and divide by a binomial. So two terms, which is going to make it a little bit more challenging. So let me go ahead and show you guys a couple examples of that, and I think you will be on your way. All right, here is our first example of dividing by a binomial. So we have the polynomial x squared plus 2x minus 3. But this time we are dividing by more than just a variable. We're dividing by x minus 1 here. So I'm going to set it up with long division again. Remember that this term that is first is what's getting divided into, and that's the term that's going to go inside of our division house. So x squared plus 2x minus 3. And we're going to divide this by x minus 1. All right, now what you might be thinking is I'm not quite sure how to divide x minus 1 into this whole thing. And don't worry about that because that's not what I'm going to have you focus on. You are actually going to focus only on the first term. And so I will make that note here. All right, so don't worry about this minus 1. Just focus on this x right now. And the idea is going to be the same. So as you guys divide, you're going to say, okay, x times what gives me this x squared? So hopefully you would say x. And I agree. All right, that next step then to get this term was, remember, we multiplied. So you're going to take x times x, which is x squared. But notice that there's that minus 1 here. So you're also going to do x times this negative 1. So this is going to be minus 1x. All right, now, just like we did in our other examples here, once we got this term, we subtracted. And that's what's going to be big here, is you want to remember to subtract. So you're going to subtract. And I'm going to be very clear, guys. You are subtracting the entire second term. This is where a lot of mistakes happen because people are only going to subtract the first term. So it's kind of like that double distributive we've seen before. Subtract everything that's in that parentheses. So, for example, what's happening here, it is x squared minus x squared. That's going to cancel. But now it is 2x minus negative 1x. So there's that double negative. So if it helps, what you can do is you can think about it changing that sign, right? Because it's being distributed like that. But again, remember, you're subtracting the entire second term. So then what happens is, this is 2x plus 1x, so this is going to be 3x. And now bring down that last term, minus 3. Okay, same idea. Focus just on the first term. X times what is going to give you now this 3x? Hopefully you would say 3. So it's a positive 3, so I'm going to say plus 3. All right, and then now again, to get this term here, you're going to be multiplying. It's going to be 3 times x, which is 3x, and then 3 times this negative 1, so minus 3. All right, remember that you are subtracting that entire second term. So now it is 3x minus 3x, that cancels. And then 3x minus this negative 3, so opposite. And then this is going to cancel. So you're going to be left with 0, which is our hope. All right, so what that means then for you guys is that up here is your final answer. X plus 3 is what you get when you divide. Now, to kind of connect this back to everything else that we've done, if you were to factor this, these would actually be your 2 factors. All right, so if you guys take a look, you'll notice that these are your same factors that we got when we divided. All right, some of you guys are going to wonder then, why can't you just factor everything? And the reason for that is because, again, not every problem is going to be factorable. And so we will take a look at that next. So you do want to know how to set up and do these long division problems. All right, guys, if you want to try another one on your own, here is one that you can. I'm going to tell you that this one is going to divide evenly, but go ahead and see if that idea makes sense. All right, guys, if you tried this one, your final answer here would have been x plus 1. So again, just watch out and make sure that you're focusing just on this first term, seeing how many times x goes into these different terms. And then also remember that you are subtracting it in that entire term here. So remember, think about this is minus x squared, but then also minus 7x. All right, let's go ahead and we'll take a look at an example though that does not divide evenly and what to do in that situation. And then also one thing to watch out for with your exponents as you guys are doing these problems. All right, guys, so here is an example of a problem that's not going to divide evenly, and we're actually going to be working with a remainder here. So let me show you what you would do in this situation. All right, just like before, we know that this is the term that's going to be divided into. So this is the term that's going to go inside of our division box. So 2x squared plus 11x minus 9. And we are going to go ahead and divide into this 2x minus 3. Okay, so remember, first step here is we are going to focus just on this first term. We are asking ourselves 2x times what is going to give us 2x squared. You're going to notice that 2 stays the same, so it's just that invisible 1 that's being multiplied. But then x times x is going to go here. We're going to take this x here and we're going to multiply this entire term. So it's going to be 2x times x, which is 2x squared. But then also this x times negative 3, so minus 3x here. Remember what's happening is we are going to be subtracting this entire second term. So again, just watch those signs here. 2x squared minus 2x squared is going to cancel. But here, remember, it is 11x minus a negative 3x. So this is actually going to turn to a plus sign here. This is going to give us 14x, and then we're going to bring down that minus 9, so minus 9. All right, so same next step here. 2x times what is going to give us 14x. So here it would be 2 times 7 gives us 14. So let's go ahead and put that as a plus 7 since it's positive. And then again, remember now it's 7 times this whole term. So 7 times 2x is 14x. And then 7 times negative 3, so take that sign, is going to be negative 21. All right, be cautious here because, again, remember that we are going to be subtracting that whole second term here. So 14x minus 14x cancels. But then here it's going to be a negative 9 minus a negative 21. So that's going to actually become positive here. So what you're going to be left here is 12, and that is going to be your remainder. What you are going to do with your remainder is this. So because this is a positive 12, we're going to go ahead and put plus. You're going to keep the remainder 12, and then you're actually going to make it a fraction over what we are dividing by. So here we were dividing by 2x minus 3. All right, so as funny as this looks, this whole term here is actually your answer. X plus 7 plus 12 over 2x minus 3. So again, anytime you have that remainder here, you're going to go ahead and just bring it up to the final answer, but you're going to make it a fraction over what we are dividing by. All right, so for those of you who would like that extra practice, here is another example for you to try. I'll go ahead and speed it up so that you can see the steps and then get that final answer also. So you're going to be dividing 9c squared plus 6c plus 8, and that's going to be divided by 3c minus 4. All right, guys, here is your final answer. So again, watch your subtracting, watch your terms up here, but you get 3c plus 6 plus that remainder of 32 over 3c minus 4. All right, guys, so in our final example for this lesson, there are actually two things that I want you to watch out for as you guys are dividing, and you'll see them both in this example. So here we have 13 plus 4m squared divided by negative 1 plus 2m. The two things that I would like you guys to watch out for is number one, making sure that you are in descending order. What you might not have noticed, but all of our problems are already in descending order. We have that c squared, c, and then the number. X squared, x, and then the number. So in the case that you are not in descending order like this problem, you are actually going to want to rewrite that. So this problem would become 4m squared. It's a positive 13, so plus 13 divided by 2m minus 1. So again, you want to make sure that both that first term and that second term, though, are in descending order. So check for that, though. So that might be a reason why you get an answer wrong if you're not in descending order. Now, second thing that I want you to watch out for is missing values. So you can actually solve these problems without putting in a placeholder, but I actually recommend it just so you don't mix up your terms. If you guys will notice in this first term here, notice you actually don't have an m. Everything that we divided here had a middle term, c squared and a c, x squared and an x. In this problem here, we have an m squared, but we don't have an m, so we have a missing value here. So what I might suggest is this, putting in a placeholder value. So this becomes 4m squared plus 0m plus 13 divided by that 2m minus 1. And so again, I filled it in with a 0m because there are no m's here. Again, that's helpful to me just so I know which terms I'm combining. I'll show you what that looks like as we solve this problem. All right, so again, we know first term is the one that's getting divided into. That's the one that's going to go ahead and go into our division house. All right, so this is the setup that we would use. All right, just like before, just focus on that first term to figure out what our missing terms are going to be up here that we will be multiplying by. In this case, we know that 2 times 2 is going to give us this 4. Likewise, m times m is going to give us this m squared. All right, remember you're going to take this term here and you're going to multiply it by our 2m minus 1. So that's going to be 4m squared, and then 2m times negative 1 is going to be minus 2m. And again, here you'll see that by putting that place value here, I can go ahead and line it up with that 2m that I get here. All right, be cautious. Remember that you are subtracting that entire second term. Your m squares are going to cancel.
You have 0m minus a negative term, so it's going to become positive. We're going to get 2m, and then bring down that next term, plus 13. Alright, so same idea here, focus on the first term. 2m times 1 gives us 2m, so we're going to go ahead and put plus 1. So 2m here, and then remember multiplying 1 times negative 1 is going to give us minus 1. Alright, be cautious here, because again, remember subtracting the entire second term. This cancels. 13 minus negative 1 is going to become a positive 14. And then that is going to be your remainder. So remember, bring that up to the top, plus 14, and we put that over what we are dividing by.
All right, so that's final answer there. So same concept. I think you guys will be good with that, but again, watch for these two special things that we'll start to see in some of those problems just to make it a little bit more challenging. So again, making sure you're in descending order before you divide, and then adding any placeholders for any missing values that we have in our problems. There is one more thing that I need you to add to your notes, and this will be the last thing that we take a look at today. All right, so what you are going to see, though, is you are going to have some problems that they are going to ask you to graph. Lucky for us, we saw graphing in our last section. All right, so just like before, I'm going to tell you do not need to graph, but instead just be able to sketch. All right, however, what I want you to notice is, unlike our last problems, which I will show you right now, all of our problems had a number on the top, so a single number. In the problems from this section, you're actually going to notice on top it's not just a number, it's an expression. So you have some variables there. When you see that, that's actually going to be the indicator that you need to divide, just like we did in this lesson today. For a problem like this, you would set up your division. Just like before, number on top here is the number that's going to go inside the division house. So this would be 2x minus 1 divided by x minus 2.
Alright, same thing, focus just on that first term here. We would say x times 1 gives us 2x, so times 2. So that would be 2x here, and then 2 times negative would be minus 4. Remember, you are subtracting this whole second term. This is going to cancel. Negative 1 minus negative 4 is actually going to turn into a positive here, and that's going to give us 3 as our remainder. So it's going to be a plus 3 over
you're looking at this and you're like, Miss K, that doesn't really help me, let me go ahead and rewrite this for you right now. So we're going to take our final answer here, and let's shift it here. I'm going to rewrite it so that the fraction is first, though. 3 over x minus 2. And then I have this plus 2 here, this positive 2, plus 2. All right, hopefully that looks familiar. So from this point, you should be able to sketch. You could easily find what are your asymptotes. Remember, we set that denominator equal to 0, and we look at what number is being added on here. And then we put in our branches. This is positive or negative graph there. All right, and so then after you guys divide that, you should be able to sketch that pretty easily. All right, that's it for reals this time. All right, guys, that concludes our lesson on dividing polynomials. Remember, if you guys have questions, make sure to email me or join the Zoom on Tuesdays and Thursdays. All right, guys, I'll see you later. Bye.